Imagine finding your dream house, the house you've always wanted. So you go to the bank to apply for financing, only for the broker to walk out and say, "I'm sorry, your credit's just not good enough." Understanding credit score is the key to having good credit. In this time of age, it is almost impossible to buy anything or to receive a good interest rate unless your credit is fairly decent. Today you will hear how your credit score is determined, how missed payments, maxed out credit cards, and too many inquiries can affect your credit, as well as the importance of having good credit. Now let's begin with understanding how your credit score is made up. First, there are two different scoring models that the credit bureaus use to determine your credit score. In the 1990s, Fair Isaac was the first company to introduce a credit scoring model for the three credit bureaus and based on different criteria. This scoring model is known as the FICO score. The second and newest model is known as the Vantage score. The Vantage score is a credit rating product that was produced by Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. This product was produced to compete with the FICO score. The three credit bureaus introduced this new scoring system in March 2006. Both the FICO and the Vantage score are both still being used today. So you might ask, what's the difference between the two? There's not much difference besides the FICO score has 5 main factors where Vantage score has 6. Enclosed in the PowerPoint, I have 2 different models that show you their different factors and their importance. So now that we kind of understand the different types of scoring systems and their factors, let's look at some factors that lower your credit score. One of the factors that both scoring models show the most important is missed payments. Missed payments can really hurt your credit for a long period of time. Even if you just have one missed payment, it can affect your credit up to 7 years. The reason missed payments are so important is because creditors view this as being responsible to pay back your debt. Therefore, if you're not paying your payments on time, you're not being responsible not only your money, but you're not being responsible to pay back the debt that you have already borrowed. And too many missed payments can show that you could be possibly headed towards filing bankruptcy, which then the creditors will not ever receive their money. Another factor that has great importance is maxed out credit cards. Most new borrowers think if they have a credit line of $500 that they can spend $500, but creditors are actually seeing how well that you maintain that credit line. Meaning they're looking to see how well you budget your money and how long it takes for you to pay back. Most people with maxed out credit cards are less likely to pay their balances off each month and keep rolling over their balances and paying more on interest, and they're less likely to pay off their balances. Another factor that I was personally not aware of of the importance of is too many inquiries. When I wanted to get a credit card, I would apply for one credit card, and if I wasn't approved, I would go to the next and go to the next until I was approved, not knowing that each time I applied for a credit card, it would show up on my credit report. If having too many inquiries, it shows the creditor's question, why are you applying for credit? You look very needy for money. Then it also makes the creditors wonder, well, if they're applying for all this credit, then could they possibly be acquiring more debt than they'll ever be able to pay off, meaning you're higher risk to file for bankruptcy. Although there are other factors that can lower your credit score, these are the main factors that most people overlook. So now let's look at some factors. We looked at some factors that lower your credit score. Now let's look at some factors that raise it. The 3 factors I'm about to go over are basically the opposite of what we just talked about. On-time payments. When you make all your payments on time, you're showing creditors that you're responsible for your money and that you will not have a hard time paying your debt back. Since this is the most important factor on both scoring models, this plays a huge part in your credit score. One missed payment can damage your credit score for 7 years, so it's important to budget your money correctly and do not spend more that you're unable to pay back. Balances on credit lines. We have talked about this earlier with maxed out credit cards. Having a high balance could really hurt you. Creditors like to see that if you have to maintain a balance each month, that it'd be under 20% of your credit line. Meaning if you have a credit line of $500, they would like to see $100 or less carried over each month if you have to carry over a balance. By doing this, it shows that you're responsible for not only your money, but their money, and that you're less likely to acquire too much debt, because that's what creditors are looking for. They want their money back, and they're going to look for ways to show that you can pay the money back that you borrowed. So Another one is the length of credit history. The longer the credit history, the better. And here's a perfect example. Person A, who is 20 years old, applied for his first loan at 18 years old. He's never missed any payments, has always made on time, has no negative things against him on his credit report. Where person B is 45 years old, has borrowed lines of credit since he was 18 years old, has never missed any payments, never had anything bad on his credit report, or anything like that. The creditors for person A, the creditors are less likely to approve him with a high credit limit. They would normally approve him for a lower credit limit and to see how well he maintains that balance and his payments before they up his credit line. But on person B, the 45-year-old, they'd be more likely to approve him with a higher credit because he shows more knowledge of credit and that he knows how to pay his debt back and he makes on-time payments. So they're more likely to approve him for a higher credit limit, give him more advantages with a lower interest rate and so forth. We should always strive to raise our credit score. Since our credit score is basically a report of how well not only do we budget our money, but we budget other people's money too that we have borrowed. Today we went over the different scoring models, some factors that lower your credit score and some factors that raise your credit score, as well as how these factors show the creditors. Now it's up to you on what you do with this information. I would encourage everyone to have their credit report pulled, review it, and see how you can better your credit score. You might already have that dream house, but you never know what could happen to that dream house. So it's better to be safe than sorry. You don't want to be that person that the broker has to come in and tell that they're unable to approve you. Strive for good credit. It's almost possible to get anywhere in life unless you have it.